not going to go and relive past traumas that I've already gone to therapy for, just to relive it, get triggered, and do something incredibly stupid to myself. Uh, Mental health comes first. Obviously, people like Buff and his audience do not seem to understand that mental health comes first. They want to try to trigger someone in the most cruelest, heinous, personal ways. And people like that don't deserve my attention. They don't deserve my dignity, my integrity. They don't deserve an honest the truth, because all they're going to do is twist things and turn them into lies anyway. And that's all it was. It was just a bunch of excuses for a bunch of narcissistic people who enjoy seeing others hurt to come together and bully one person, well, two people, and then try to break up every single relationship the person has. And I look at that behavior and it sickens me, because I'm not a perfect person. I have a lot of flaws, but I'm moving on with my life. And I think that's what matters most, is where you are now, not where you were a few years ago when you were at your very worst. Um, I'm not at my very worst. I'm actually at my very best at this point in my life. And I don't need to be reminded of that shit. And I don't think it's fair that anyone gets reminded over very hurtful situations where they weren't right in the mind. And, a lot of people, why don't you mention this stuff? Because I wasn't right in the mind. And I shouldn't have to explain myself to strangers over the internet just because they perceive something that isn't. Uh, it's just evil thinking, I think, in the long run. Jason was already done. He didn't want to deal with it either. We were both like, I'm done. We looked at each other like, I'm fucking done. What did it was actually putting the shirt over my head, because it was a very humiliating thing. I've never seen or heard a therapist even do something like that. They don't do that. In fact, it's a lie that they do that type of shit. Um, and that was like, this guy isn't here for my well-being. Like, he comes to you when he comes to you to try to put a show together. He comes to you like he cares. He comes to you like he's going to help you. He really doesn't at the end. He really doesn't. He screws you over. That's what these charlatans like doing, is they'll screw you over at the end. And yeah, we were screwed over again by him. So, all I'm saying is, like, this type of thing that people do where they nitpick and cherry pick everyone's mistakes and try to throw it in their face is really dumb. It's really stupid. There's more important things that we could be focusing on. Like, if you focused all that energy on, like, people like Jeffrey Epstein, or people who actually need, like, in, Trump, and, the things that's happening in the Middle East, if you put that energy in there instead of trying to nitpick someone to death, uh, you might have something, but you really don't have anything. And you didn't put me in a spiral, because I knew it was like, this is enough. I'm not going to put myself in a spiral where I end up hurting myself. I'm not going to do that to myself. That's why I left, because mental health comes first. So I enjoyed my time at the hotel with my friends. I did not enjoy it every time I was live, because it was just another nitpicking thing where, I've said sorry a billion times and it still wasn't good enough. Um, I've admitted to stuff a billion times. It still isn't good enough. And I'm just done watching and seeing the same clips over and over again that I've watched for years over and over again and admitted to the things that happened. I've said several times I misspoke. I said that several times, but it's still not good enough with these people. It's you're this, you're this, you're this. Well, fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you have to say. The fact that they make big giant shows and celebratories over literally putting someone in a corner, making them feel uncomfortable, and completely humiliating them is not a good look to society as a whole, especially when society is falling apart. People need to start coming together and not treating each other like they're fucking garbage because they did something in their past that they're not proud of, or they misspoke, or, anything regarding someone's past. Like, even if I knew someone killed someone, I still wouldn't treat someone like that. I still, have enough empathy to, try to understand the person instead of just pointing fucking fingers at the person like they're nothing. And, that's just how I feel. Um, I don't think U.S. citizens should have the right to interrogate someone who misspoke, who said things, who felt terrible about, alluding to such things because they were in such a fucking mental health crisis because their health was failing them and they didn't know what was going on. Um, you know, it it really bothers me because, everyone goes through these moments in their life where they freak the fuck out and they're weaker at those times. But to be nitpicked about it, to try to put and induce shame onto someone is pathetic. I don't give a fuck if someone thinks I'm a narcissist. I'm not, but I don't give a fuck if they do either. You know, and honestly, I don't think they honestly think I'm a narcissist because why would you fuck with a narcissist knowing they're a narcissist? That's kind of fucking dumb, don't you think? Kind of dangerous, Um, they just want to go and have an excuse to have this continual angle to bully and humiliate someone in their life. And that shows their character. Because I wasn't exposed at all. Everything was on video the way it should be. They expose themselves and what kind of persons they are, what kind of people they are, really. Because I'm not ashamed about my past. I'm not ashamed about the now. I'm not ashamed about my future. Because I know everything happened for a reason. Everything's going to happen for a reason. And everything is going to continue to be for a reason. It really put my focus on in what I should be doing with my life, and that's just focusing on God. While I was in the hotel, that's what we mostly were focusing on is God, and speaking the truth. Whoa, what's going on? I'm not worried about anything. I know there's people who care about me. I know there's a lot of people who understand what was going on during that time. And a lot of people just don't give a fuck about this nitpick fucking bullshit. And I want to thank everyone who's reached out to me and given me, words of support because it does really mean a lot. Now, on to the good news. Our plans are pushing forward. You will probably not be seeing us for the next few weeks or more. Maybe not. I'm not quite sure. But our plans are still pushing forward. We're still doing what we plan to do. And we got everything we need to get the plan started. So there's that good thing. Um, but as of now, yeah, I feel good I did what I did. Um, I don't feel bad over the things I've said. I don't feel bad over saying, you know, that's not what happened. Um, I'm not a, I'm not shameful over misspeaking about things either. And them saying I did something when I didn't do it and that wasn't my intention is the lamest excuse to hate on someone ever. You hate me without a cause, and you're in danger of Raqqa for it. You're in danger of hellfire for that. And on Judgment Day, you're going to find that out. There's so many things that's happening in this world, and it's happening so fast. And instead, you're focused on me instead of focused on what's going on in the world. You know, you're more focused on one person than seeing the bigger picture. And I think that's what these reaction channels who focus on just a couple people at a time, I think that's their biggest flaw, is they're not looking at the big picture of things, and they refuse to look at someone in their humanity, and they refuse to humanize a person. Their constant goal is to dehumanize, 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 and that shows you what kind of narcissistic pieces of shit they are, is their constant need to dehumanize someone. Even though they said they'd do something different than that, they decided not to. They decided not to. They decided to, bullshit their way into saying things, and that's it. Um, in all honesty, I don't suggest anyone trust that motherfucker, because he's not built to be a humanitarian. He's not a mental health advocate. He's nothing what he said he was. Because if you're a mental health advocate and you notice that someone's feeling uncomfortable and they're telling you, I feel uncomfortable doing this, and you continue to push, you're not a mental health advocate. You're trying to break someone's head. You're trying to break their mind. I don't have to explain anything I do. That's the truth of it. I don't have to explain my life. I don't have to reason. I did what I did. If you like me or not, I don't give a fuck. Life is life. Um, but what is inappropriate is to continually bully someone you don't like. That's the inappropriate thing. Like, that's all you focus on is bullying people. I focus on far much more than that. I actually look and see what's going on in this world. I actually know that time is short. Jesus is coming soon. And he's given all the signs that he's coming soon, and no one's doing anything. But their mentality of how they treat people are getting worse and worse and worse and worse. Like, you could have an opinion about someone, but to go after them in real life and their personal life, that's another. Anyway. Yeah. I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Peace. And Maranatha. Do better. Bullying's not going to change anyone. It's just going to hurt people. And it's going to cause people to get in trouble with Jesus at the end of the day. God said, if you forgive someone, you forgive them and you mention it no more. I've had my past thrown in me for going on 10 years now. I'm done having my past thrown at me, because my past is my past. I can't change it. I can't make it into something else, but I can move forward. And that's my intention.